Welcome to Concussion Talk Podcast, episode 124. And I'm talking to Cassandra Stockley and Miriam. I'm not sure her last name yet, but we're with the both the Labrador Brain Injury Association, NLBIA, and we'll talk about Brain Injury Awareness Month. But first, I'll just thank my sponsor, HeadCheck Health. Concussion Talk Podcast is presented by HeadCheck Health. HeadCheck Health bridges the gaps in concussion care through simple, powerful technology. Join organizations like the Canadian Football League, Track Factory Racing, the Canadian Junior Hockey League, Eastern Washington University, and Volleyball Canada, who rely on HeadCheck Health to improve communication and optimize care. Visit headcheckhealth.com for more. And I guess just follow this podcast and follow me on social media at Concussion Doc. And just I'll tell you the social media accounts for the Brain Newsline or Brain Association, because we're getting into Brain Injury Awareness Month in Canada in June. I know there's one in March, which are popular in North America because it was, the US has theirs in March, and in Canada it's officially in June. So we're just gonna want to celebrate that and highlight what the Brain Association, Newfoundland Labrador, NLBIA can do. So guess first, thank you. So Cassandra and Miriam, and they'll be our future hosts for co-hosts, whatever, for June. And we have a bunch of new great experts and practitioners involved. So thank you so much. And I guess first of all, just introduce yourselves. Miriam, let's start with you because I know Cassandra. So Miriam, who are you?
Yeah, so I'm a fourth year psychology student at Memorial University. So I'm currently working on my thesis on ADHD with Laura Fallon and Jackie Hessen. And I'm working at the Brain Injury Association for this summer to help with some of the program planning for our ABLE program. And we have some fun events planned for that.
And we'll talk about that in a second. Cassandra, you who is Cassandra?
Well, I am the coordinator of programs and services with the Newfoundland and Labrador Brain Injury Association. My background also started out at Memorial University in psychology, and then I headed on to Mohawk College to do a graduate certificate in brain disorders management. And that's actually how I ended up here. I did an internship during that program, and I liked it so much that when they offered me a job, I decided to take it. So here we are today.
Excellent. Get you, Cassandra. I just did we go get this actually on May 31st. This come out, and of course, Brain Injury Awareness Month, as I said, is in June. So you just day before. But Cassandra, I'll be appearing on Rogers Out of the Fog, which is a local program, but you can catch it on. We will get the link, and I will send that in whatever where I can put it up on the link whenever that appears. We heard of this Out of the Fog show yesterday, so it'll air on June 2nd. So the link will be then available on like Twitter, NLBIA's Twitter, and all that stuff, which we'll talk about again later. And I guess I'll go back to Miriam's. What is the ABLE program, and what is these events that you were mentioning?
So the ABLE program is for individuals to come together who have brain injuries, and we meet and do some activities weekly. So they'll be happening every Thursday. So for Brain Injury Awareness Month, the first event we have is starting on June 2nd, and we'll be making some posters where people can kind of display their brain injury and maybe what it means to them, the challenges they've had, the experiences and the growth that they've made. And then we have other events planned as well. So, the following Thursday, we were thinking of doing a puzzle and starting that and doing it throughout the month of June. And then putting it together at the very end to kind of hang up in our office. And in between that, we have some painting that we'll also be doing. And then at the end of the month, we were thinking of doing a little visit to the botanical gardens
Nice.
and kind of walking around to give people, a bit of outside time
Yeah.
now that the weather's getting warmer.
Hopefully
So,
by then. So we had to plan that for the end of June. Because
yes, yeah,
I mean, although it's decent out today and yesterday, but I mean, in the last week that's too, but I mean, it could be like
yeah, we're
30
hoping.
and
Yeah.
snowing. Oh,
Yeah, hopefully the weather will be nice enough to get some of those activities going. We're also thinking of doing some bowling in between. So if the weather, gets a little bit rainy, that might be a good idea as well.
likely a rainy. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't know which one is you, Sandra, probably the best one. How about Brain Injury Awareness Month and what is it and where is it, when is it, like the whole Brain Injury Awareness Month? What do you know about that?
Yeah, so Brain Injury Awareness Month is basically a month to spread awareness about brain injuries, their effects, different experiences that survivors have encountered, and to really help educate the general public about what exactly is brain injury and what it entails. So it is the entire month of June, so from June 1st to 30th. And we really want to do our best during that month. Like, we should be spreading awareness every month for sure.
Yeah.
But in Canada, it really does take June really does gain a lot of focus on brain injury. And that's just a really good time to share what we're doing and how people can help others with brain injury and those sort of things. So we're going to be making some community appearances and spreading the word about brain injury.
Oh yeah, I'm actually typing right now. When I was saying, I can only see half of Sandra's face, so it's because the laptop is not okay. So either you or you can move the laptop. That's the joy of laptops. Okay, and actually, I guess we haven't even talked about the NLBIA. And last night you gave a good description to Don E. Cody, who is our interviewer for the Rogers Out of the Fog. So just gets to these guests who asked you at first, these listeners on the podcast. What is the Newfoundland Labrador Brain Injury Association?
Yeah, so we're a nonprofit that was developed in 1984 by a group of concerned parents and doctors and caregivers because of the lack of programming and services available to brain injury survivors across the province. So they kind of initiated it there, and we've kept it going to help bridge all those gaps that still unfortunately do exist in programs and services. And we do what we can to help with what resources we do have in the whole navigating brain injury, because it's not something you expect to happen.
Exactly.
And when it does, it's not something you're prepared for. So we want to do our best to help out and ease that transition for sure.
Great. Because I know it's like using the resources, limited resources there in Newfoundland, or so they will actually, Marion and Sandra will talk about the ways that people can donate or just support the Brain Association in Newfoundland, or and I guess with that, so how did you become involved? How did either of you want to start to become involved with the Brain Association and feel like this is, well, we'll start with Sandra. Why did you take that brain disorders management program, and why is the brain injury important to you?
Well, I actually have some personal experience with brain injury. Growing up, I was playing sports and suffered some concussions, and I learned about the lack of services and treatments available here in the province for concussions. So I kind of wondered what was available for individuals with brain injury. And unfortunately, I found out that there's really not much. It is really limited. So I kind of took my personal experience and wanted to help in any way that I can to help bridge those gaps in services and help direct people to potential services that may exist that they may not even know about.
Right. And Miriam, why brain injury? Why did you choose that one? It's a student, you have limited choices, but still.
Yeah, so my sister actually plays a lot of volleyball. She's on the Seahawks team. And she's also had a couple of concussions.
That's just
Um,
right. Yeah, Seahawks is Memorial University's varsity team. So sorry.
Yes,
Team.
yeah. So she's also unfortunately had a few concussions over the years. And I've seen firsthand how that's kind of affected her. And so I wanted also a place to get involved that would help people in the community. And with my program in psychology, I've also taken a couple of courses where we've touched on brain injuries, and I've seen how challenging it can be. So I really thought that the Brain Injury Association would be a good place
Yeah.
to get involved in.
It's definitely with the brain, there's so much stuff, like so many ways it can impact different people. So unfortunately, it's fascinating. That kind of just like makes it sound like the brain itself is not as impactful as it is, but it's just a fascinating area, I find. And I guess, well, and yeah, I guess as I mentioned before, you two will be co-hosting, but really hosting the Concussion Talk podcast throughout June. So I will ask you, Cassandra, she mentioned to me yesterday that she's, I know Cassandra's better, like, on the spot questions. So I'll kind of let you guys kind of, not really questions, but more or less kind of take over this podcast now and give people a flavor of what to expect in June when you guys are more the host I am. So I don't know how you guys want to, who's going to start talking, who's going to.
I can for sure. So yeah, we're really excited to be taking over your podcast for the month of June. We're going to be talking with some local experts in various fields, but they're all involved in brain injury in some way. And we're going to be interviewing them and finding out what they're doing and just learning more about them and more about the field of brain injury in general.
Great. And so I was going to think of time more to really ask you about this, but you guys will be talking to many experts, and they're good to talk to and find out just different areas really that are just be fascinating. I think for everyone, even if you're not from Newfoundland or even Canada, it's not brain. It's always brain injury awareness month every week, and this podcast is brain injury awareness. So you're not really going to miss out or gain nothing really terribly different from this month than all the others. So this month, not this month, because you'll be hearing this May 31st if you listen right away. But June 2022 will be totally Miriam and Cassandra, and I will introduce the first bit, hers will second, but they'll be them doing their blogs with our many guests. So we've already just, I don't know if you've seen your emails, but I've set up we got Zoom interviews for all the interviews, all except for one actually. So I'll get that sorted out. And what was it? I was gonna mention so yeah, you're the social media. Like how are people want to say hear this and or throughout the month of June or whatever, or anytime really want to donate or support the Brain Injury Association if they're allowed and want to follow it on social media. How can they do that online, like long distance?
Yeah, so we're on Facebook under NL Brain Injury Association. We're also on Instagram at NL Brain Injury Association. We're also on Twitter at Brain Injury Association, I believe.
It's isn't it? It's like NL Brain Injury Association.
Yes, NL Brain Injury, I believe is, yeah. And we have our website, www.nlbia.ca. And you can also reach out to us via email at info@nlbia.ca. And there's more information available on our website and social media for other contacts if you prefer call our office or anything like that. There's lots of ways to reach out.
Great. And there's also lots of ways to donate and support their NLBIA. And
100%.
Yeah. So is there anything else you guys want to mention before next week when you Jason, next week the next interview is Tuesday, which you guys will lead. So but this will help on the Tuesday at 5 morning. So it'll be a week in advance. But anything else you guys wanted to like to mention before I hand over to you for the full month of June, really?
I just want to thank you for letting us take over the podcast for the month of June and letting us kind of explore the field of brain injury with all of your listeners.
And Ryan, it was nice to meet you. And so I'll not hang out now. Let's end this podcast. But it's great to meet you, and thank you so much. And I look forward to June.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us on. And it was great to meet you as well.
Thank you. Thanks. Please support the NLBIA by visiting www.nlbia.ca, and please don't consider donating. And I hope you enjoyed this podcast and listen to Cassandra and Miriam talk about the NLBIA and what we're doing throughout June. So please stay tuned. Thank you so much for listening. As always, the music at the beginning of this podcast is by Ben Sound. www.bensound.com.